Hi, I'm Wes Snow, co-founder of Ascendix. If you're a tenant rep, your real job isn't data entry, it's relationships and follow-up. You're working a book of prospects, tracking who needs space, when their lease is up, and what you talked about last time. And here's the hard truth. The CRM has always been where that work goes to die. It's such a chore to get information in, and so hard to get anything useful back out, that most tenant reps give up on it, eventually just run their book out of a spreadsheet and their inbox. And the ones that did buy a CRM often bought one that was never built for how a tenant rep actually works. So they've bolted on workarounds that create more friction than they remove. What I'm going to show you is what happens when that friction is gone, when you can just talk to your CRM from your desk or your phone, and it actually works the way your business works. The AscendixRE AI suite is really a few tools working together. Two of them live right inside your CRM: Harvest, which pulls structured records straight out of your email, and an AI agent built into AscendixRE that you just talked to. And then there's a connection out to Claude or other AI assistants like ChatGPT and Copilot for the heavier analysis and reasoning over your data. Watch how they hand off to each other as I work a real day. Let's get into it. Here's how a requirement usually shows up. A tenant emails you. Normally, that email sits in your inbox and maybe someday you log it. Watch what Harvest does with it instead. I've forwarded this email from Outlook to Harvest, and as you can see, the AI has already parsed this email that is on the left hand side and suggested records on the right hand side. One forwarded email became a set of structured records: a new company, a new contact, and a requirement around 11,000 square feet of office space with a required move in date documented from the actual email. Now, that example came in by email. Just as often, it starts with a call. And I just hung up with a prospect. This is the second tool in the AI suite, an agent built right into AscendixRE. Instead of opening a stack of forms, I'm just going to tell the agent what I learned on the call and let it build the records for me. I just got off of a call with Nolan Hartfield at Calderwood Studio. Create a company for Calderwood Studio and a contact for Nolan. His email is nolan@calderwoodstudio.com and his phone is 214-555-0179. Then log a lease preference. They need about 9,000 square feet of creative office space in the uptown area, targeting a move in the next 9 months. Company, contact, and requirement, all created from a few sentences without me touching a single form. That's the AI agent living right inside of AscendixRE. Between Harvest reading my email and this agent taking what I say, every requirement gets into my book the moment it shows up. When capture costs nothing, you actually do it. So those two tools, Harvest and the agent, get everything captured inside your CRM. Now I want to actually work that book. And for the heavier thinking, I'm going to move out to Claude, connected right to my AscendixRE data. You'll notice this doesn't look like Salesforce anymore. That's the point. This is where the analysis happens. And look what I now have that a spreadsheet never could. My entire book of active tenant requirements, structured and current. Let me just ask for it. Show me all my active tenant lease requirements: the company, the size range, the class, the submarket, and their target move in date. Sort by move in date. Here's my book. Every live requirement structured the same way, sortable, current. This is the thing tenant reps have always tried to keep in a spreadsheet, never could, because the spreadsheet goes stale the day you build it. Here it's just always there. Now, here's the daily reality of a tenant rep: it's a volume game, and you cannot possibly remember every conversation, and you're rarely at your desk. You're between meetings, in the car, in a lobby. So let me show you this one on my phone. I'm about to call Stonebrook Partners, and before I dial, I'll have Claude get me up to speed right from my pocket. I'm about to call Karen Rourke at Stonebrook Partners. Brief me on where we left off, what they need, what matters to them, and what I should lead with on this call. In 5 seconds, I'm walking into that call knowing exactly where we left off, what they care about, and what to lead with. Pulled from my own notes, not my memory. That's the difference between a call that moves a deal and a call that wastes everybody's time. Now, here's the part nobody talks about, and honestly, the part that kills every CRM. I just hung up with Karen. Right now, the discipline is supposed to be log what we said, set my next step, and nobody does it because it means pulling over, opening up the CRM, finding the contact, filling out an activity form, then a task form. 15 calls a day. That's the chore that breaks you. So the notes never get logged and the book rots. Watch how this version goes. Still in the car, still on my phone, I just talk. Log a call I just had with Karen Rourke at Stonebrook Partners. We walked through the three uptown options. She's most interested in two with structured parking, and she wants tour dates before the end of the week. Then set me up a follow up task to send her those tour dates in the next 5 business days. That's it. The call's logged, the follow up's on my calendar, and it's all attached to Karen's record the moment it happened from the front seat of my car. This is the unglamorous thing that makes everything else in this demo possible. Remember that brief I pulled up before the call? It only exists because logging a call now cost me one sentence instead of 5 minutes. When the upkeep is free, the book actually stays alive, and a living book is the whole game. Now, the question every tenant rep wakes up with: who do I actually spend my time on this week? With a book and only so many hours, I want to point my energy at the prospects who are most likely to move, the ones who are warming up, not just the ones with a date on the calendar. And the system can read that because it understands the tone of my last conversation. Based on the tone and momentum in my recent notes, which of my active tenant prospects are heating up and most worth my time this week? Rank them by how engaged and ready to move they seem from my last few interactions, and flag anyone who was warm but has gone quiet. Give me your top few with the reasons for each. Look at what just happened. The top of that list. That's the system reading the temperature of my book from my own notes, telling me who's heating up and where my hours should go this week. Judgment a spreadsheet can't touch. But the part that matters most is at the bottom. Kistrell. They were warm. I sent a short list, and then life happened and I went quiet for 6 weeks. In a big book, the deals you lose aren't the ones that say no. They're the warm ones you simply forgot. That's a deal I would have lost. The system didn't forget. That one catch right there can pay for the whole AI suite. A minute ago, I asked who's hot. Now I'm going to do the exact opposite. Forget tone completely and look at the cold, hard calendar. The single best prospecting signal in this business is a lease about to expire. So I want to run my whole book of prospects against the calendar, including the ones I haven't talked to in months, so nothing slips through the crack. Show me my active tenant rep prospects whose current lease expires in the next 9 months. Order them by expiration date with the company, the contact, and how many months out they are. There's the difference between the two questions. A minute ago, the system told me who's hot this week. This is my whole book sorted by the calendar, including the quiet ones I've never had surfaced on my own, like the prospect I last spoke to months ago whose lease is now coming due. One lens is about my energy today. This one makes sure nobody falls through, but both run off the same book. But it doesn't stop at a list. The reason follow up doesn't happen is that writing each note takes time. So I'll have Claude draft the outreach for the most urgent ones, and I can review them all together side by side and send. For the three prospects whose leases expire soonest, draft a short, friendly outreach email to each of them. Reference that their lease is coming up and that I'd like to help them get ahead of it. Cue them as drafts for me to review. Three personalized touches, drafted and waiting for my review. I just read them, tweak anything I want to send, and then move along with the actual sending effort. The expiration was always the opportunity. The follow up is what never happened. Now it does. When I sit down with a prospect, the most valuable thing I bring isn't a list of spaces, it's knowing what's actually market. That's what makes them trust me. I prep for Stonebrook, who's looking in Uptown. Let me have Claude pull recent comparable leases and ground their expectations. Pull recent comparable office lease comps in the Uptown and Las Colinas submarkets. Show the building, the size, the lease rate per square foot, and the lease type, so I could advise Stonebrook on what's market for their requirement. Now I can walk into that meeting and say, here's what comparable space is actually trading at in their submarket with real recent deals. That's what makes a tenant rep look like the expert in the room. And it took one question. But here's the honest catch: an analysis like this is only as good as the comps behind it. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. I don't sit around building a comp database. So let me show you how that library actually gets built without you ever doing data entry. You trade comps with other brokers all the time. Someone emails you their recent deals, you send yours back. That's how this business works. The problem was never getting comps. It's that a list lands in your inbox as an attachment and nobody hand keys comps into a CRM one field at a time. So they died there. Let me jump back into the CRM for a second to Harvest, the tool you saw at the very start. A broker and I just agreed to swap comps and they emailed their list. I forwarded it to Harvest, and here's what it did: email on the left hand side and the suggested records from the attachment to that email on the right hand side: properties, companies, and of course the all important lease comp, drawn from the actual attached comp list that they provided. Suite number, the size, all details required for this particular exercise. That's the whole trick. The analysis I just showed you, the thing that makes you the expert in the room. It's built on comps you were already being handed. You never had a way to keep them without the data entry tax. Now every comp swap, every list a broker emails you lands in your library in seconds. Do that a few times and you've built exactly the comp database you always said you didn't have. And when it comes time to actually tour, I can pull the available spaces that fit a prospect and have the system assemble a tour book. I'll keep this quick. A lot of you have a marketing team that owns the polished pieces, but when you need something fast, it's right here. Find all available office spaces that fit Stonebrook's requirement: 14 to 16,000 square feet, Class A, uptown, and put together a short tour list with a building, suite, size, and asking rent. Then generate an on brand tour book in a PDF that I can hand to the client. And there you have it, a tour ready short list in a minute or two. Whether you send it yourself or hand it to marketing to brand, the gathering and matching is done for you. Here's something most tenant reps never get to see. The reason brokers don't track commissions is that entering them is a burdensome effort. So they fly blind on their own pipeline. But because every one of these deals got captured as we went along with no extra effort, The system can already tell me what my pipeline is worth and when it's likely to pay. Let me ask about my commissions. Based on my own commission splits on my open tenant rep deals, what's my projected commission on each, weighted by probability, and roughly when each would pay out based on the expected close date? Give me my total weighted pipeline as well. For the first time, I can see my own pipeline in dollars, what's weighted, what's likely, and when it pays. And I never did a minute of commission data entry to get it. It just accumulated as I worked. For a broker, that's visibility you've never had. For a brokerage, that's every broker's pipeline finally on the books. So that's the AI suite for the way a tenant rep actually works. Three tools working together. Harvest pools requirements and comps right out of your email. The AI agent inside AscendixRE lets you build records just by talking to your CRM. And Claude does the heavy lifting, reading your book, prepping you for calls, ranking who to chase, turning every lease expiration into drafted outreach, and giving you a view of your own pipeline you've never had. You capture the second something shows up and you finally have a real book instead of a stale spreadsheet. And the system works wherever you are, at your desk, or like that call prep, right from your phone. If you've been running your book out of a spreadsheet because your CRM was never built for you, let's talk. Thanks for watching.